Here we go.
And we are live.
How's it going, man?
Oh no, it's going well. It is going well.
We got about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The New York Knicks versus the Orlando Magic, and the Magic once again with 3 measly wins are giving us fits right now.
Yeah, it's killing me. There was
Down by
literally no
3.
pace to this game whatsoever.
That was a weird. I mean, not the weirdest part. I'm not surprised at this point. It's like they come out in the third quarter and pace is like just does not exist until the bench comes in and just cleans everything up.
Right.
Like we're making things so much harder for ourselves than we need to make it. There's 8:30 left. The Knicks are down by 3 right now. Yeah, this rookie on the Magic is
Suggs.
Suggs.
I liked him back in Gonzaga. At the time, no one expected the Knicks to do this well. So
Right.
we were all like, "Oh, let's get Suggs." If we fall to the top 3 to 5 range, we can go after Suggs and stuff. But obviously, that didn't happen. That didn't work out.
That didn't. And just as you say that, top in big bucket underneath.
Our bench hasn't been its usual self tonight by any stretch.
Why do you say that?
Usually they're a lot more electric than this. They usually carry the team a lot further than they have been.
Yeah, I'd like to see the breakdown of. Oh, man, I love RJ Barrett. And that was literally one of the notes I wrote down. And as I was watching the game, I love RJ Barrett. I can't say that enough.
His mentality, man.
Yeah, it is mentality. I know we'll get into it with that bench, though. I'd love to see the breakdown of how long that bench fully played together, because there were longer sequences with Randall and RJ and Mitch versus that full bench that swapped.
That is
right
true.
Now we got about 7 minutes left. Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett. We got who do we have? Quickly's in there, and then I think Rose is in at the guard.
Sheesh. You know what's interesting? I heard Mike Breen say this earlier. Dude, Fournier,
yeah, I have some thoughts.
Yeah, we'll touch on him later. But this man hasn't even played.
I love when we do a show and then what we say is validated. Like the next game, we were praising Alec Burke and look, just back-to-back threes. Like I love watching this team when they hit threes, because they look like an unbeatable NBA top 5, top 10 team. When they're not hitting threes, they look bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Obi Toppin has 14 points. He's 6 for 7 right now.
Obi showed up to play. Let's go. His plus minus is a 14 right now. I believe the highest currently.
Yeah, highest of the team right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that pattern again, where all the bench players have plus minus.
Gosh. Yeah, I don't know how much further that can take us. You know what I mean? Like eventually things have to turn around.
It's not sustainable whatsoever. And I that's the thing. Like you brought up Fournier, and I'll wait until the guys come on and talk about this a bit more in depth. But you got probably 7 to 8 games left until you really need to think about like this starting lineup and whether or not it can actually hold down a professional NBA game.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because prior to the game,
these are just big shots after big shots. I love Alec Burke. Sorry.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's Steady Freddy, as I like to call him.
Steady
Freddy. He's as good as they come, man. Just sure-handed. You know what I mean? You know what you're gonna get from him.
Yeah, I'm about to cop me a number 18 jersey.
Yeah.
How many Knicks fans off the top of their head do you think guess who number
jersey?
18 is?
Off the top of their head?
Off the top. Because I even struggled for a while. We're watching the games daily.
I'll
but
give you a percentage. How about that? I'll give you a
me
percentage. It's over 50 because we got some diehard fans, man. You know what I mean? We got some true troopers out here, but it's certainly under 80. You know what I mean? So I'm in the 50 to 80% mark here.
Look, he's here for 3 years. I wouldn't be mad if I saw a bunch of number 18s at the Garden. I'd be impressed. It's a very New York Knicks thing to do. Like the amount of Steve Novak jerseys that exist out there.
True.
Is pretty ridiculous.
Very true. I'm on the verge. I've been wanting one for so long, but I'm on the verge of copping a 67 Taj Gibson jersey. I've been wanting that. I wouldn't be mad at you.
I would not be mad at you because that's another thing. When we went on our last live, we talked about Taj. You mentioned him in particular, and just how he's been that staple. And he has brought it every single game for the Knicks, and he's, dare I say it, been an anchor. I would say with Noel out, he's our second best defender, and that's sad also, but I'm happy with his play.
You know what? Two things, because earlier you mentioned about a lineup change, and prior to the game, Tibbs mentioned that he would be open. Now this is coming from Tibbs, who's as stubborn as it gets. He said he would be open to a possible lineup change. He just really loves what the bench unit is doing currently, so he kind of doesn't want to mess that up, which I understand.
That's the hard part, and then also with Deuce McBride going down to the G League,
he was killing it tonight.
I'm sure he's going to average 34 a game in the G League, no questions asked. Like he's that kind of player, man. But now that he's in the G League, obviously they want to do something more with Grimes. But we talked about it last episode too. How do you do that without messing up the bench's chemistry?
I mean, you don't, right? Something's got to give here, though. Like, how much longer can you worry about the bench's chemistry as opposed to worry about your starting lineup?
As long as you're winning games.
Yes.
These are now, like the Pacers game, came down to the wire, then we pulled away. This game, we have 4:37 left in the fourth. The Knicks are up 92-91 right now. Still a very losable, unfortunate game, unfortunately. Yes. But they could pull this off again. And as long as you keep winning and a bench is a reason for that, how do you justify changing that bench unless you change it and then you start blowing teams out?
Well, Fournier has just been that bad.
He has.
And he's not even playing in the fourth quarter at all. So, like, would it kill you to start Alec Burks a couple games and just see maybe that if Fournier coming off the bench could jumpstart his jump shot? I don't know. We got to try something different.
It's tempting. It's very tempting. I have another alternative too.
Talk to me.
I'll get your opinion on this, and then we can bring it to the guys when they join later on the stream. But Obi Toppin in the starting lineup and moving RJ Barrett back to the 2. It's going to give us size. It's going to give us fast break points, which we're severely lacking. It's going to give us a lot of speed too. And then you have two guys who could easily, play 12 feet above the rim with Mitchell Robinson and Obi in the starting lineup. There's a lot of positives to it. The negative side is if we're not hitting threes, it's a problem. It's probably a very crowded and packed lineup in the paint.
Absolutely.
But if you are hitting threes, if Kemba's knocking them down, if RJ's knocking them down, and Obi hits his corner threes and Randall does what he does, then all of a sudden it's looking like a lineup that can do a lot of dynamic things.
That's interesting. It's very interesting. It's not something that I really gave much thought to because I'm not quite sure how Obi can hold up against defending. But then I'm looking at Fournier and I'm like, can he really defend either?
That's the thing.
So where do we go?
One thing that does is it makes the Knicks bigger. And if you can't defend, just be big.
Yeah, that is true. But you don't want to be big and slow-footed.
You don't want to be slow, but he's also someone who's going to add a lot of speed to this team, and just by virtue of the fast breaks that he could potentially deliver. Knicks are up by 3 right now, 3:42 to go.
They need this one.
That's an
Burks,
understatement.
That was a big shot that he could have hit.
That's an understatement.
Mitch with the huge rebound, though.
Yeah.
Mitch has been playing well, man.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no. That's why no one's talking about the center position as like we need to do something or we desperately need Noel's back because because at the end of the day, Mitchell Robinson and Taj Gibson again are our best defenders.
Yeah,
They're doing their
no
job.
doubt.
They
Mitch gives me mini
job.
heart attacks every game. Every time I see him hit the floor so hard and he gets up and he's like wincing, I'm like, no, please God, let him be okay. You know,
The kid's tough right now.
he is tough. We got to give him a pair of Timbs, man. Look at those Timbs behind you, bro. We got to give him a pair of Timbs, dog.
Let's do it.
Give him a couple Wheaties.
Let's do it. We got to grab the autographed jersey and then set him up with a size 14 pair of Timbs.
Yeah, you know it.
We got to go down a size. No, we got to go down a size because they're Timbs. So,
run big,
size 13 probably.
Nobody knows that better than us.
That's crazy. He's a size 13. Like that's all. I'm a size 12.
Give him your pair. Run him a pair of your Timbs.
I'm 6'1". He's clocked in at what 7'1".
He's damn near, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How like why wasn't I gifted with that athleticism, or height, or just freakish nature of how he's built.
I'm wondering if his foot problems and ankle problems have to do with him having smaller feet.
It's
you know what I mean? Because it's not quite.
I thought I heard a rumor like that last year, and I feel like I heard it from you.
Really? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the hell I be talking about. I just, say what sounds good. If it rings, nah. But all jokes aside, I don't know, because it's like his center of gravity, the mass, right? Like he's so big and he's large, and now he's 280 something. Planting on littler feet, so to speak.
321. Knicks still up by 3, 94-91.
Oh, how did they call a foul on Obi? Like, man, there was so much there.
Yeah, the refs are interesting this game.
They've been interesting the past 2 games, to be honest with you.
In typical Knicks fashion, I will blame the refs if we lose this game. There was one point where I think it was towards the end of the third quarter where RJ drove to the basket. It looked like he got mauled by Mo Bamba, and he was on the ground. And then all of a sudden, the Magic take the ball the other way. RJ grabs their miss, so he ran all the way across the court, and then he runs all the way back just to get an and one. I'm like, this is what I love to see. A big FU to the refs.
Yeah.
All right, but 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists for Cole Anthony. We did what we had to do with Cole Anthony.
I don't know. He's close to a triple-double, man. I know he's 4 for 20, but like...
He is, but where he beats you is when he drops 20, 25, 30 points.
That is true.
He's not going to let him have 16 rebounds.
Terrence Ross,
fine.
Dude.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's the other guy. That's...
Yo, why does he constantly just kill us? He wants to be deep down inside. He wants to be a Knick. He really does. He sees the jersey. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna destroy them until they realize that they need to get me."
Can't wait to have a 38-year-old Terrence Ross as our starting guard.
God. We got the wrong Magic.
Oh my God! All right, 95-94, 2:19 left. Don't lose this game, New York. Don't lose this game. Please, for the love of God. Two minutes.
Oh my gosh. This is Yo, I don't understand. Why are we making things more difficult than they need to be?
That's what I'm saying. We make our jobs so much more difficult than they need to be. The lineup in the game right now, though, is interesting. Burks, Quickly, Randall, Obi, and RJ. The fact that you've got Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose not in this game, and Emmanuel Quickly is in this game. He's and Obi got subbed out, but he's Quickly's clearly on Tibbs' good side.
Yeah, I think so. He said he's an underrated defender. Recently.
Which I don't. He knows more than me. That might be nothing about that stands out to me. I think he's doing his thing on the court, but defense isn't like the top 5 ways I would describe the good things that Manuel quickly does.
Right.
All right, 95, 94. Underrated. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
As in, no, he has no
Rose
reason
had an
for
okay
people
game.
to be.
He didn't have a typical Rose game, but he had an okay game. I don't know why he's not out there.
Yeah, what was he? 4 for 8.
Yeah,
2 for 5 from 3 with 10 points. He had 4 turnovers. He's got the most turnovers on the team right now. 1 steal, 2 rebounds, no assists. 17
minutes. Take the good with the bad.
Yeah. But again, we talked about this last time too. Kemba Walker, 21 minutes. Evan Fournier, 21 minutes.
Yeah.
A combined 10 points.
A combined 4 for 13, 2 for 7 from 3.
Yeah.
10 points. Yeah.
And nowhere else on the stat sheet are they stuffing anything. So.
Okay, baby, here we go. Got to get a stop, man. I don't understand. Fournier is gonna have to stay. You remember how the guys oh my lord. I'm not liking this at all. I gotta be honest. It just doesn't feel good. You got fucking Franz Wagner or the brother throwing down on RJ like it's nobody's business. I mean, where was the interior help? We don't have anybody down there.
We have
there.
Yeah, this lineup does not have any interior help.
What were we thinking? This is pathetic.
All right, so 126, Knicks down by 2, 98-96. I swear to God, man, this is a 3-win team, New York.
3-win team, and one of them is against us.
Yeah.
So if we add another, come on, they got our number. I mean, just make it make sense at this point.
We got a lot to talk about.
This is a home game, man. They beat us twice on our home
Knicks
floor.
Down by 4, 52 seconds left.
I didn't even know Michael Carter-Williams was still in the league, man.
Yeah.
Or is that even who the heck was that Michael Carter-Williams on the bench? Who the heck was that guy?
I don't think so. Surprised we didn't see any Iggy Brazdeikis.
As much as I saw of him was him walking into the building, the arena. That was it. Like something's got to give with this team here. This is not it. This is not it.
Yeah, no, this is indeed not it, because the mistakes that this team is making is way too preventable.
Bro, they embarrassed us twice on our home court.
Mm-hmm.
Twice.
And that last bucket was on Derrick Rose's 5th turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gross, like man. I hate seeing Orlando celebrate on our home court twice.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then the thing about it is they're all young and hungry, and I feel for them. I just don't want it to be at our expense.
Oh my God.
Like these are young gunners. Like they want this. They're hungry. I love it. I love to see it. It's just not against the Knicks, not on our home court.
29 seconds left. Knicks down by 6.
Pray to basketball gods. Can we cue that up?
Can we get T-Mac on here?
Oh my goodness. This was not a good game. It wasn't even a fun game to watch at any point. It had very little to no excitement.
There were flashes. There were flashes.
30 seconds, 45 seconds of hype,
Collectively, yeah, because that 30, 45 seconds is like 2 OB dunks and an RJ breakaway.
And an IQ 3 to like
and then
bring
a couple
it.
IQ threes, throwing a Burks 3 in there, and that was the excitement of the game. But this is rough. All right, our starting point guard now. I understand the injury history, but like he's becoming a bit of a non-factor. Like even when he scores those, stat sheet stuffer games, 20 plus points, what value is that really adding?
It's not
like they're empty points.
But him and Fournier have been duds.
Fournier averaged 19 a game at one point. I don't want to give up on him just yet, but
I get it. But even in the summer with France, he was killing it. Where is that Fournier? Where did he go? Yo, we also have a comment here from Facebook from I don't want to ruin his name here, but Nahul Becker.
Yeah.
I hate losing against these teams. Yeah, the Knicks played down to competition this season. They're letting these
they really
guys,
did. But they also play up to their competition.
They beat Boston, the Bucks, the 76ers twice. It just and you can't even chalk this one up and say that we fell asleep at the wheel or we underestimated the Magic, because that's absolutely not the case. There's nothing to underestimate here. They smacked you up once before. They'll do it again, and they didn't do it this time, but they still beat you.
This is like, if you lose to the Magic, it's considered getting smacked.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
You're responsible for this team for 50% of this team's wins right now. At this stage in the season, that's horrific.
Bro,
there are a lot of things that the New York Knicks are doing right now that are preventable, but I think because it's early in the season and it's New York, everything you do gets scrutinized at the highest level.
Oh, no doubt about
it. As soon as Tibbs makes any kind of small move, like whoever gets the negative side of that is going to feel it. So I'm looking at Kemba, I'm looking at Fournier. Two fingers we could point for what's not going so well with this team right now. And Kemba is someone who we could live with for now, but Fournier,
yeah.
Not when you have Grimes, sitting on the bench like that. Not when you have Obi doing what he's doing. Not when you have Burks doing what he's doing. You cannot justify what Evan Fournier does over the span of these past 10 games or so. And we know the value he could bring. It's good value. But when he's not clicking and the Knicks aren't hitting three-pointers, that's a tough recipe.
So let me ask you this. What's the issue collectively? Like, why can they not hit? Like, okay, first of all, 2 games into the season, we broke our all-time three-point record. Where have they been since? I don't get it.
Well, I think there's a lot of hype. This team gets hyped up because, like we said, they show up for the big games, and then they also show up at equal level against bad teams for those games. And so because they're playing to their competition every single time, we had the first couple games of the season where things were hype. We were excited. Everything was new, and Kemba was still excited to be in New York, and it was a dream come true.
No longer.
No longer. Because he's going to see the bad side of the media headlines real quick.
Oh, they're gonna,
I hate to say it that way. But it's the nature of New York. It's what you get when you play in New York. That's why New York is an extremely hard destination to play, and that's why guys like Julius Randle are so special because and Carmelo Anthony are so special because, and shout out to Melo's book right here. These guys are so special because they were able to play in New York, and they're able to play through the downs and ups and live through that scrutiny. It's not an easy place to play. Not to say that Fournier and Kemba can't do that, but they're about to feel the wrath, and it'll really be a good test for them.
Well, okay, so we have one more home game in this stretch of 3 coming up on Saturday. It's a 5 p.m. game, so it's an earlier game. Where do the Knicks go from here? Because it's not working.
You got to make a lineup change. That's
at this point. That's it. You have to make a lineup change.
You have to, because there's nothing else that I can logically see the New York Knicks doing except for a lineup change. But a lineup change is going to happen in different ways. I'm not saying that Tibbs is going to go out tomorrow or Friday and change the starting lineup all of a sudden. It'd be amazing if he does that, but I can't see him do that at this point in the season just yet. What I could see him doing is extending the lineup a little bit, mixing and matching a little bit more. So he trusts guys like RJ and Randall, obviously. Having them play with the second unit a little bit more to develop a bit more chemistry is going to be important. I think Grimes needs to get into the game. He just does. And then Evans' minutes will probably be trimmed down to 12 to 15 right now before anything, significant happens with him. So there's a few different levers we can pull right now.
Well, one of them has to be pulled.
Yeah, it does. Trades can be pulled. Everyone here is cheap. Everyone here is very cheap. So Knicks have a lot of leverage.
Can we just blow this thing up?
I don't want to blow it up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not going to be that irrational Knicks fan. I'm a irrational Knicks fan, but I'm not going to be that irrational yet.
So
give me a few more games.
And who are you looking to get?
You got to get a point guard that distributes the ball a bit more, because that's how you incorporate and live at the top of the rim with Obi and Mitch and RJ. Like RJ is still he could play above the rim, but unfortunately he doesn't. That's not his role. Like he doesn't have a point guard who's going to find him at the rim every single time. If you remember his rookie year, he was dunking. He was flashing those dunks. He was flashing those highlight reels, and he can get up there. But you got these guys who could all dunk and live above the rim, but you don't have anyone who's going to be distributing the ball in the right way. Like, for God's sake, did you see that pass from Derrick Rose in the second quarter to Obi Toppin? Like, twice. It one hit the rim and the other one was way too high. Emmanuel Quickly, though, when he sets them up for alley-oops, they got really good chemistry. Quickly and Obi Toppin. I love their chemistry right now.
Well, you don't have that. Those guys spent a lot of time last season in the gym together. And in the off season,
it's paying off.
This is tough, man. This is really tough. Where do we go from here? Because we know when they're on, it can work, right? Like, we've seen it. I know it was only a small sample size and it was early on in the deseason, but when these guys are on, it works. But right now, they're just
define on for me.
On is playing up to their standards. Like, these guys are decent to good 3-point shooters. Fournier is playing below his capabilities, right? Like, if he just gave us 80% of what he's capable of, chances are we beat this Magic team. Chances are we beat the Pacers with ease. I'm not quite understanding if it's the pressure, if it's fatigue, if it's they're not getting along. I don't know what it is, because this team looks completely different from how they transitioned from in the preseason to the beginning couple games of the regular season. Like, that team is no more. I don't know what happened to these guys.
If you're just tuning in, New York Knicks lost 104-98 to the Orlando Magic. It's the post-game show with the MadGood Knicks show. TK Farr. Others will be joining as well. So you're basically, to everything that you just said, you're telling me the New York Knicks need to hit threes in order to win.
Not that they need to hit threes, but they need to hit more threes than they have been as of late. I mean, this is just not going to cut it. What were they tonight? Wow. Okay, so they're 32%, right? It's not terrible, but they can do a lot better, Yeah. Randall was 4 for 10. A lot of the shots that he took from three I didn't like. But there were a couple that I thought he easily makes that. He missed a couple good looks. Fournier 1 for 4, dude. Like, that's his game. I don't understand. He's a shooter and he's a scorer. Like, for all intents and purposes, he's a scorer, and he just hasn't been scoring. Kemba Walker looks lost. Barrett finally had a decent game. You know, he was 0 for 7 from 3, but 17 points, 7 for 9 is not terrible. You know,
7 for 19.
7 for 9. I'm sorry, 7 for 19, under 50%. Not terrible. It's better than where he has been.
Yeah,
he was only -2 in the plus.
Yeah, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Like he was keeping busy. I love RJ Barrett. Don't no one better slander RJ Barrett. This is a no RJ slander zone.
Yeah, I'm not feeling all the slander as of late. Yo, here's the thing for you, right? And something that we haven't really touched on or mentioned, and this would shake up the bench, obviously. But how do you feel about starting quickly?
I don't think that's gonna ever happen.
You don't think it's gonna ever happen?
As long as Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose are on the New York Knicks, with Rose, I could potentially see it. I'll say it this way: as long as Kemba Walker is on the New York Knicks, I cannot see quickly and healthy. I can't see quickly starting ever.
Kemba needs a breather, bro. If he doesn't play 2 games in a row, that's okay.
Like health pending. If he's completely healthy, just as a basketball decision, I can't see Emmanuel quickly starting over Kemba Walker.
You have to at this point, bro.
I would love to.
He's not very serviceable.
I would love to, but keep in mind, quickly again, he's made tremendous strides. I love what I see in Emmanuel quickly. He's not going up against starters all the time, and when that happens, it adds a whole different dynamic to the type of game that you can play. So
right.
He had that funk in the start of the season. Now he's getting into that nice groove. Let's pump the brakes a little bit on letting him start right now. Let's let him maintain this for a little while longer.
But he's our best option.
That's the sad part. When you have 2 veteran point guards like that on your bench with Rose and Kemba, quickly can't be the top. Quickly can't be the top option. I can't see it happening. In short, can we go back to one more just hilariously awful New York Knicks stat?
Yes, let's talk about it.
Field goal percentage. The New York Knicks shot 42% from the field and then 32% from 3. Those are likely losing numbers, except for the fact that Orlando Magic shot 41% and 29% from 3, and they still won the game.
They still beat us.
This is how you lose games, when you beat yourself. New York Knicks.
Let me ask you this: how many points did the Knicks lose by?
Lost
6.
by 6, yeah.
Right? Look at the free throw differential between how many they made and how many we made.
Yeah, well,
7.
What did we have here? 8 for 12 on free throws?
And they were 15 of 18. That's game.
Yeah, 15, yeah.
That's game right there. Well, they had 7 free throws.
Well, no, if we had 4 more points, then we'd still lose by 2. We got to get to the freaking line a little bit more. That would probably help. Get a couple.
No, but I'm saying they made 7 more free throws than we did, and that ultimately decided the game.
Got to the line. Yeah.
But I think it was you that mentioned this last episode, right? About what guys do we have that can go to the basket and draw contact?
Kemba, Rose.
Okay, so Kemba played 21 minutes, had 5 points, only shot the ball 7 times,
and Rose had no free throws.
Yeah, and neither did Kemba.
And
so where are we?
Barrett is another one, but he went 3 for 3. Mitchell Robinson was 3 for 5. Quickly isn't going to get those calls anymore. Like this is the thing. This is where probably some of the sophomore slump comes from, is he's not getting those James Harden calls anymore. And I like it, but I think he's going to have to develop around that soon.
Yeah, I feel like we've been bamboozled. We've been lied to. I think Boston knew what was going on with Kemba. I'm not even sure if it's health. I can't even wrap my mind around it, because he was shooting the lights out the ball for the first 5 games. He was the leader in 3-point percentage.
7% from 3. He was. He was very, very good. And then this is the thing, though. I think other teams are also figuring this out, and that's, if you don't lose to the Knicks on the 3, you're unlikely to lose to the Knicks.
Period.
And it's not like teams are playing this like immaculate new defense that the New York Knicks have never seen before. The Knicks show up when they have to show up. And then they play their competition on teams that they're supposed to beat. I can't say that enough. And there isn't a tangible like thing in there like you could flip a switch and draw up a play. That just doesn't happen. You're there or you're not there, and it just comes down to effort at this point. So soul searching. The Knicks got hyped off of last year. They're no longer a secret, and now all of a sudden teams are picking up on the New York Knicks, and the Knicks are getting surprised like they surprised teams last year.
Yes. That is true.
Alec Burks had 12 three-pointers.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 for 12. Wait a minute.
Good for you, man.
He's like, if nobody else is going to shoot him, I will.
Eighth, ninth player on the bench has 12 three-point attempts. That's not a Nick thing to do, but I love it. I wish it wasn't 4 for 12 though, because if he just made 2 more of those, Randall was 4 for 10 on his threes.
That's pretty damn good. 40%. I mean,
RJ Barrett was 0 for 7 on his threes.
Yeah, the kid is off right now. I'm thrilled he scored, and he had 9 rebounds and 5 assists, so he helped in other ways. But shooting at 3 is just not what he's capable of doing at the moment.
And again, it's bizarre just because they were doing it. We saw it with our own eyes when the New York Knicks were 5-1, one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league, and then reality just kind of caught up with them. It sucks though, because this was at Madison Square Garden again. Yep. They lose to a crap team at the Garden again.
Quickly led the team in assist, 7. Only 6
man.
Points though, 2 threes. Not going to cut it.
Look, if Emmanuel Quickly ends up starting for the New York Knicks, I will be shocked. If there's a healthy Kemba Walker and a healthy Derrick Rose, and then you start Emmanuel Quickly, I will be shocked.
Something has to give.
It does, and I think it's Fournier. Fournier's got to take a seat right now, because you have the potential of, you could put in Burks, you could even put in Quickly in that position. And then
you
could also
would sit Fournier and start Quickly, but you wouldn't bench Kemba for Quickly.
I don't think you can. It's a principle of the matter right now.
Are you going off of like career, or are you like going off of like eye test and seeing what he can and can't do this season?
Yeah. And we just got another comment. Can't play down to the competition. We just can't. You're right. Yeah. You're right. But the Knicks play up to their competition too. Like again, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Sixers, they beat Boston. There's going to be some other tough teams that are going to be coming up on their schedule. The Knicks show up when the lights are bright. But then when the lights are bright and the team is trash, the Knicks just think that they're in a bright room and they're gonna win by default, and that's just not the case. They're no longer a secret either to the league. Everyone knows that the New York Knicks could be a problem and could cause fits, and teams are no longer sleeping on the Knicks. So this is it's a problem.
Shout out to Simply Awesome though for the profile picture, because the left-handed Carmelo Anthony, Michael Beasley looking in the mirror to a goat. Shout out to you, man. That's a funny profile photo, man. We can certainly use Beasley's. What do we call him? The walking bucket.
The walking bucket.
The walking bucket, man. We could certainly use a bucket right now, man.
I'll take him. Take Steve Novak.
Oh my God, yes, please.
Give me. Was it Tony Douglas who held the Knicks 3-point record for the longest time?
Yeah, it was for like 9. He had 9.
Give me Tony Douglas.
You know what? Give me Raymond Felton for the first half of that Amari season.
Oh yeah.
He was going off prior to
10, right? 2009.
Something like that. Yeah. Prior to getting to Melo. Yeah, we traded him for Melo.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I was taking notes, throughout the game. Just
give me some notes.
RJ Barrett. Let's focus on him for a little while.
Do it.
Why he got off to a hot start, and I think the team we thought this was going to be a slight issue once upon a time too, and I think it's kind of bearing its head whenever he's having these weaker games.
Yeah.
He needs the ball a little bit more. He needs a couple more plays drawn up for him, because right now the reason he started off hot tonight is because he drove to the basket. He got his own.
Yeah.
And there aren't any explicit plays that are set up right now that I could see for RJ Barrett. And until that happens, he's not going to get into that rhythm, and he's going to work extremely hard for his buckets, which
he
he's
seems
very
to do
capable
when going to the basket.
Yeah, which he's capable of doing. And today, again, he's working hard to get off on a hot start. Where I think the first 3 or 4 shot attempts that he had were at the basket, and he had a couple nice dishes too while he was at it. So, if the Knicks really want to take the full advantage of what RJ Barrett can bring to the table, they got to draw up some more plays for him. But it becomes tough when you have Julius Randle. Not to say Julius is the primary issue here, and then you have Kemba Walker, who could be seen as more of an issue because they're both ball dominant scorers. And we talked about this a couple months back. I think when we were doing a preseason show, RJ's success is probably going to be predicated on how often he gets the ball, and that's probably one of the reasons why he won't necessarily score more than 17 a game like he did last year.
Right.
You might see a dip.
I mean, the odd thing about that, man, is he took 7 threes tonight, and had he had his stroke going, he's hitting about 3 or 4 of those.
And we win the game.
And we win the game. That's the difference right there.
This is what happens when you don't we don't have plays set up for this kid to get him into a bit more of a rhythm. I'm not whining on RJ's behalf. He's a sophomore. He doesn't deserve plays to be designed for him. But there's a lot of value you could get if you make your lives a little bit easier, New York Knicks, and get him started.
I wonder if, coming into the game, there's set plays where Tibbs is just like, okay, we're going to get this guy going, because I don't really, outside of Kemba and him after he was getting killed a couple games ago, after, he took off against Charlotte. I think he had like 18 in the first quarter or something like that and finished the game with like 20, 21 or something. But outside of Kemba being aggressive, I haven't seen anybody like, okay, you know what? I'm going to get mine early, get into a good rhythm, and then you guys are going to feed off me,
Fournier tried. He just keeps missing.
Gosh, what is wrong with Fournier? The Knicks are 8-7.
Yep.
This is not how. Yeah, this is not right. And we're 3-5 at home.
We're 3-5 at home. That one hurts probably the most. Simply Awesome just said RJ had a few open shots and just chose to drive even though he was open. I think that's on purpose. Because RJ knows that in order for him to get his game going, he has to see the ball go through the hoop. And the easiest way for him to do that is to get to the free throw line, is to drive the ball, get some layups in there. His game isn't, designed to hit some threes, even though he had a productive 3-point season and definitely early on a couple of games he had some decent shots from 3, but that's not his game. It's not going to be his game for a little while longer. I hope he develops that though.
Agreed.
One other note I wrote was the chemistry between the first and second units is not good.
Night and day, would you call it?
I'm not saying like one versus two. I'm saying between the two. And what I mean by that is when you have, the 4 or 3 minutes left in the first quarter, that's when Tibbs usually subs in, Rose and Quickly and Taj, but then he'll leave in Randall and RJ. I like that lineup on paper. I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But the chemistry is just awful. It's just not good. Like Randall, it's odd because he's played with all these guys for a little while, but he's not really, himself there. RJ still struggles to get a shot because you got Quickly and Rose on the court as well who are trying to get theirs as well. Right. So I can't think of. This is the hard part. This is why we can't have a solidified answer of maybe we should just cut it to an 8-man rotation because these guys aren't playing great together right now either.
Not at all.
And the only unit that is that second unit as a whole.
Very true. Let's bring in some of our brothers. I think it's time to see what they got to say, and let's see what they got.
Guys,
we're here.
You got me feeling like the Chris Broussard of the MGKS. Let's bring in Chris Broussard.
What's going on, guys?
LeBron.
Oh, chilling, just frozen.
You're looking good now. You're looking good now, man.
Thank you, man.
Let's bring in our residential Manhattan analysts of the New York Knicks, Stef and Pete. Not related. Oh, just kidding. You guys are. My bad. So, guys, thoughts on the game?
Did you write that down?
I did.
Yeah,
that was
looked down in his notes.
Yeah,
that was
notes.
as I was doing my notes, I was writing jokes for the show as well.
Far to stand up on the side, just so you guys know.
No, man. But yeah, man, thoughts on the game? Where do I begin? The positive, I'll start with the positive. I mean, my comment from 2 days ago about Obi still stands, right? My man has been putting in his work. Him and IQ in the game is an insane dynamic duo. It's kind of interesting to see that those two guys are doing what really went positively for us at the start of the season, which was moving the ball around. And they're really utilizing their athleticism. You're seeing they're not stagnant. They're not stopping and standing around. Whereas whenever the starters come in, it seems like the game slows down. That's why it feels like it's an overall roller coaster. But it's actually because of the different rotations and lineups, right? And
do you think that that we start the game slow with these starters?
No. I mean, in the third quarter, man, we didn't score for like over 5 minutes.
Yeah,
we had a crazy slump
about too.
Yeah, that's the second half woes is something that we've been dealing with for years. But again, like it has to trickle down into the starters, and they have to start moving the ball around and doing what we did at the start of the season.
There was one point during the third quarter where I was saying to myself, why not just start the entire bench coming out of the locker room? Because it can't possibly get worse than it has been over the last few games where we just put up.
But that's going to ruin morale, man, for the starters. Could you imagine?
Yeah, losing ruins morale too at this point. What the hell?
That's true. No, it's almost like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
18-point third quarter, right?
Yeah, another quarter under 20.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this game was very much a game that highlighted all of the issues that the Knicks, I think, are facing this season, and why they're possibly about to go and be a below 500 team. And for me, primarily, it's to jump off what Steph had said about the game slowing down with the starters. I just noticed that when the way the starters move the ball is that they move it around into different isolation situations. So whether it's Kemba or Julius or whoever it may be, there's not really a lot of movement from the off-ball players, and they're not getting good shots at the basket. Like, we're getting no free throws at all. We're not really playing an in-and-out game. It's about like moving it around the perimeter. And there were so many situations tonight where I saw like all 5 of the guys were like 25 to 30 feet out and just kind of moving the ball around there. And there was none of that penetration. Like, when the threes weren't dropping, I'm really not seeing our starters, try to get it on the inside, try to get to the foul line, try to slow down the other team's momentum. That chemistry just is not there. And you see it almost immediately with the bench when they come in, and you see the crowd reacting to. And then on top of that, Julius just has not been himself. He hasn't been playing well at all as our best player. RJ's in a bit of a slump. So you throw all those factors into the mix and you get the results that we're seeing now, which is like, really, I think the Knicks are horribly underachieving. I don't think they lack talent. I think they're underachieving to their level of talent 100% at this point of the season.
This is a more talented team than last year. And
on paper for sure.
But they also had higher expectations. They're about on par for what the team was doing last year, which kind of seems unacceptable at this point. To your earlier point, though, all this team needs to do is just hit a few more threes, and all of a sudden we're top 5 in the East. When that doesn't happen, I'm still trying to figure out this team's identity. I started last live off with like, I'm just confused. But if that's not happening, they all of a sudden become a very, very bad team, because defensive end, nothing's really there. Fast break points, nothing's really there. Free throws, nothing's really there. When you have nothing going on, how do you expect to win a game? So live and die by the three sounds like this is what we got in the New York Knicks.
But I totally agree with the live and die by the three. But one thing, and if we all want to, right, we all want the Knicks to end up winning a championship. If you look at all these championship teams, even the 3-point shooting ones, they're very underrated on the defensive end. Like the Warriors are known to be very offensive, but they still have a very strong defensive side. Same thing. I mean, like think about IQ, man. IQ is a very underrated defender. I think he moves his feet. Same with Obi. I mean,
according to you and Tibbs, IQ is an underrated defender. I never give me 5 ways to describe IQ. I would never use defense.
Same, but I was looking at it tonight, and he was actually going against Suggs, right? He was. I find it to be a funny name every time I hear Mike Breen say
Suggs.
But but yeah, he's putting in work. Same thing with Obi, and then the starters come in, and it's like the same thing that happens on the offensive end happens on the defensive. It's not as quick of a movement, because if one player falls out of the play as the ball moves around, then the other player has to back him up, and it's almost like a domino effect of kind of losing that player that's going to end up in the corner with that corner three. So it's almost like each player is accountable, and if one player falls out of place defensively, then it ruins it. So no matter how many good defensive players you have, if you have someone that's the weakest link, that's where it's going to be exposed,
Let's talk about the lineup. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. What do you change? Let's start with the starters. Like what would you do, taking into account that our one and only strength on this team right now is the bench?
I would maybe split Obi and IQ up. They seem to be doing really well together, but I would try to put IQ, maybe not in the starting lineup, but maybe the first to second player off the bench potentially, right? Try that. Maybe try Obi. I know Obi's up there in the game as well, but we need some of those guys that are doing well to kind of spread that energy with the starters. I think a lot of the rotations, there is some mixing, but not enough to be like, this is a team that's kind of distributed in scoring. It seems to be very separate and blocked out. So I would just say that maybe a little more mixing and mingling at this point, because it's not working so far.
Gotta mingle a little more.
Yeah, definitely. And Mitch has been great defensively, but I think he's got to work on his hands. There's a lot of opportunities there where he brings the ball down or whatever by the basket, and I think he's shortchanging himself of some offense that he could be getting there. But again, hopefully he works on that. But to me, just very astute what you said before about what's the identity of this Knicks team. And I think last year you could definitely tie defense to that identity, like their defensive prowess being, for a while, number 3, the number 1. And it was like that return to form, the tenacity, the tenacious New York Knicks, the gritty New York Knicks. They'll fight to the last minute. I'm not seeing so much of that from the team this season. Even in this game, there were a couple of moments where they're saying all the loose balls, Orlando, all those 50-50 balls, Orlando was really kind of going after them more than the Knicks were. And even with our bench, I see more energy. So from that perspective, from the defensive kind of grit side of it, they're not really delivering on that. So I'm not seeing that. And then on the offensive side, you're not seeing that kind of beautiful basketball, the ball movement, the inside out, and then punishing them with the three when they back off. You're just seeing like ISO plays or just a lot of threes. And when they fall, good for us. When they don't, it gets very boring and very ugly on the court.
Yeah.
So what is their identity? Who are they offensively? Who are they defensively? It's a team of, you talk about lineups, like who should be in there, who should not. I think, I don't know what the exact answers are person for person, but I would like to see more of a mix-up of like part starters, part bench. There's more experimentation because, it's like Tibbs was called out for experimenting a lot last season, or like over-experimenting. What's our lineup? In the beginning of the season, he was changing it every day, almost every game. This season, I feel like he's been a lot more conservative, and it'd be more interesting to see him. It'd be interesting to see him be more, exploratory in that direction, at least I think.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see more experimentation. I do feel like last year Tibbs did that because he was genuinely trying to feel out his players, suss things out, seeing what could work, seeing what can't work. Now he's just got a bunch of veterans that he could depend on, allegedly, in his head. So I feel like teetering towards the experimentation zone might be a little bit tougher. I'm also mindful that we're not that far into the season right now either. And so give it to 25 games and then see what kind of changes you can make. Steph, to your point about IQ, to your point about Obi, like those two energizers maybe being split up. T and I were just discussing this. Obi Toppin in the starting lineup for Evan Fournier would be fascinating to me. It could also be destructive if there's no spacing.
Who are you putting at the two in that situation?
RJ.
Okay.
And so what you got is now all of a sudden you have a guard who could guard other guards. You've got size, because between RJ, Randall, and Obi Toppin, those are some big bodies. And you got Mitch, and then you got Kemba around them.
Mm-hmm.
So that could potentially be a very, very interesting setup. What it's also predicated on is whether or not the Knicks are hitting their shots. And that's where the spacing is going to come from, because if they're not hitting shots, all of a sudden it's just like a jumble in the middle, and it's going to get ugly real fast.
Right.
The other option is, I don't think Kemba Walker will be benched in favor of Quickly. I think Rose would be benched, or Rose would come in favor of Kemba before that.
True.
But putting Fournier on the bench for Emmanuel Quickly could be a very, very interesting move as well. And so you got that dual point guard backcourt. Both can spread the floor. Quickly will absolutely spread the floor. And considering he's underrated on defense, that shouldn't be a problem either. But what are you really losing by taking Fournier out of the game on the defensive side?
That's very true, man. That's actually a really interesting idea, because the experiment of Fournier with Randall, I want it to work so bad, man. That pick and roll, but it's not really working. It was during the preseason a little. We saw flashes of it, but as we always say, right, the preseason is not the season. So I think when it comes to like IQ, I think you're right. I think D Rose would have to come in before, IQ would have to come in, but
just how Tibbs works.
That's how Tibbs works, and it makes sense, right? And I don't know. Obi he deserves it, man. At this point in his career, right? He showed us at this point in time that he's not a fluke, right? He's been able to be consistent. And as I keep mentioning, his movement without the ball is really impressing me, and he's getting in really good spots. So you're right. Seeing him with the starters, Randall, right? Seeing him potentially with Kemba, how could that, pan out? And also RJ, right? Like I've noticed that he's the only dude on the team who's actually just driving to the basket relentlessly.
Yeah.
And like he has a strong left. We've always said he should work on his right, but he's really putting in that work. And I know we took an L tonight, but without that, man, he was a dog tonight going to the basket.
But if you notice how RJ started the game, he was driving. I mean, he started with like 4 or 5 straight drives to the basket.
Yeah.
That's how his game takes off.
Mm-hmm.
He has to get to the basket. He has to see the ball go through the net, and then all of a sudden everything else is working. He was 0 for 7 from 3 though, and that's a bit annoying. But very happy to see him drive, take 17 shots, and get 19 points out of it.
Hell yeah, it's great to see.
I mean, to some degree, maybe there's some good in this in this loss, because again, RJ and Julius didn't play well, but we were kind of in the game. But again, Orlando's not that talented of a team. To me, say what you will about Elfrid Payton. I know Jay's a big fan, but
Jay, where you at?
He was a good defender, but also more of a distributor than I think
he was.
We could say about Kemba and even D Rose, Fournier. All of our guards are kind of score first guards, more or less. What's up? What's up, baby? Welcome back. So for me, part of the reason maybe that starting lineup offense seems so stagnant and why we're having 18-point quarters is when the three's not dropping, we got nothing else going on, and we really don't have a distributor on the court. I think that's part of the reason why night in and night out, I'll be saying that Julius Randle works so hard for his shots. Like every one of his shots looks contested, or he's dribbling like way too much to get to a spot on the floor, and it just seems like a lot of hard work. And while that's happening, the other guys on the court aren't really doing much. And that kind of reminds me of the Knicks from 2 years ago, and a lot of our frustrations came from that kind of lack of just movement in general.
Well, our frustrations came from Fizdale back in the day, but that's beside the point. No, your points are good ones, because I think. But
a distributor, if we're thinking about any trades, in the coming months before the February deadline or whatever the case may be,
distributor.
It has to be a distributor.
Perimeter
I think.
defender or distributor or both.
I-
Perimeter defender wouldn't be too bad either.
We
if
got
you just throw-
Grimes. We got Grimes.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And
concerned
IQ.
I
about
gotta
the
see it.
Forget IQ.
I gotta see it.
And we got IQ. We got locked down. I think the fact that you said Randall is working too hard for his baskets. The New York Knicks keep shooting themselves in the foot. They are working too hard for everything that they're doing right now. And it stems from a bunch of different things, but Exhibit A is how bad they are in third quarters and how much they need to fight in fourth quarters. I don't want to have every single fourth quarter be live and die by Quickly's 3-point shots and Alec Burks' 3-point shots and RJ's miracle shots. Like I don't want to do that, but that's what we set ourselves up for when we play these garbage third quarters.
Yep.
Burke should start over Fournier. Last year was great when he started. That's a fair point because I did forget that the amount of games that Burks started for us. He was a starter last year, and that's a comment from Simply Awesome. Appreciate you tuning in, man.
Love that profile photo too. Look at that.
Yeah, we just called it out earlier.
Fantastic.
Burke starting over Fournier is an option. That's the thing. We have options now. So it seems like the consensus across the board is that Fournier needs to take that seat on the bench. And between Burks, between Quickly, and between Obi, any one of them could replace him in the starting lineup and have an effective impact. I don't think we want to mess with Rose right now because he's a very solid off the bench point guard for us, and we're not going to mess with that. Everyone else, I think, could potentially add a lot more value in the starting lineup.
You said we're not messing with Kemba?
I can't realistically see it.
No.
The
So
money on
here-
Kemba, you can't.
But if he ever needs a night off, I'd love to see IQ in with the starters.
Yes.
IQ, Fournier,
For any particular reason?
with that lineup, just inject some of that IQ energy and movement in with kind of the rest of the starters to see if Fournier actually gets into rhythm with his shots with a slightly different look at that position at the one. But you know,
I just hope this isn't another phase of IQ and Obi doing really well, and then we're back to like the starters doing really well at like another point. You know what I mean? I would hate for it to fluctuate.
I would too, but like everything's broken right now. Just give it a try. With IQ starting at the point guard, unless Kemba's hurt, I can't see Kemba moving from that slot. I can't. And Tibbs is not that guy. Not that guy, pal. He's not that guy. and Kemba, he just has too much going. And for to his defense, he could turn it up in the first quarter. That's where he's at his best. That's where he plays all 20 of his minutes is in like that first quarter. But then all of a sudden, he's MIA in the fourth. That's a bit problematic right now. And it's not because Rose is playing unbelievable. It's because he's just not a good option in the fourth quarter right now.
Yeah. T, what are your thoughts on the starting starters?
It's tough. Am I echoing?
Thank you.
No,
you're fine.
Okay, perfect.
you're good.
No.
No. They're so whack. They have a lot of issues right now, to be honest. It's tough to say because in the beginning of the season, had they continued to hit as many shots as they had early on in the season, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
We wouldn't.
Say that again?
No, we wouldn't be having these conversations right now. If they lived by the three, we'd be much happier right now.
But Fournier has given us next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Kemba here and there, but it hasn't meant much. So how much can we continue to rely on guys who aren't giving us anything?
Well,
especially Fournier in the fourth.
Let me ask it this way right
Fournier
now. From a starter's perspective, you guys are basically saying that Emmanuel Quickly will add more value than Kemba Walker would to the starting lineup consistently.
Okay.
No.
Do you
I can't see it.
What do you want? Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want what I'm going to tell you because this is what needs to happen?
Let's hear them both.
I like that.
Okay, my
just
honest
confuse
opinion.
the shit out of me.
My honest opinion, I don't know. Right, as far as whether Quickly is going to give more But what I can tell you is it won't hurt to try. You know, we have to see what he can give us night in, night out as a starter.
It might hurt though
in the summer
because it's gonna hurt.
Can it
feelings.
hurt anymore?
It's gonna hurt feelings.
Oh, bro,
They better fake an injury for Kemba
if
you're gonna. But that's the thing. He's not playing horrible. Like he's not.
5 points.
He's not playing horrible because he just had like 20 something. 3 games in a row. The other 2 games in a row the other night.
Streaky.
Regardless, it's not all on him that we're losing. And so to take him out of the starting lineup,
I beg to differ.
Well, if he played better, yes, we would have won. But because he's playing this way, it's not necessarily like the primary reason that we're losing. It's a team game, and we're messing up royally as a team.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
thing.
Noticing also that we aren't crashing the boards like we used to. Have you guys noticed that too? We're not like really that proactive. And even 3 times tonight, the court was 50 feet wide, but not wide enough for
4 times.
players. 4 times?
Four times.
Bro.
The Clydeisms.
You noticed because like when Magic, if it was Cole Anthony, if it was Suggs or whoever was putting up a 3, the paint was just wide open and the ball would just bounce long, So that's one thing I noticed.
Speaking of weird things that happened this game, why was the front of the rim the biggest part of the rim, like all throughout this game? Every single time we lined up for a 3-pointer, it hit the front end of the rim.
Legs are tired.
You get tired from shooting from 30 feet all game long.
Yeah.
But that's
true.
it's crazy. Like, and we were talking about Stef and I were talking during the game, like when they got those out of bounds calls. I'm like, man, how many times have I mentioned that these guys are like all 30 feet from the basket, all 5 guys moving the ball around, very terrible spacing. No one's on the inside.
Very terrible.
Very terrible. And it just so happens they get like 4 out of bounds plays, and I think that's directly related to their spacing. But TK, to touch on what you said before about 3-point shooting, if they made these shots,
we're winning. We're winning if they make these shots.
I know, but that's not always going to happen, and I think you're going to get into a situation kind of like the Houston Rockets or a James Harden, where all season long when they're falling, you look invincible.
Mm-hmm.
But in a playoff situation where the game slows down, defenses are tighter, it's more about half-court sets. If they just cut you off at the perimeter, unless you got some kind of inside game or way of like breaking down that defense so that they have to back up off you, you're going to be in trouble. So even if the Knicks hit those shots eventually, unless they can have an inside game, they're going to be in trouble, I think.
I hope that this isn't how the Knicks are playing, but it seems like they are, where they're getting hyped up for these big games, and they play down to their competition, and they're just going to end up hovering around 500. But I feel like on their mind right now is Christmas Day, the Atlanta Hawks.
It's too early, man.
Get the revenge. Well, explain why they play so confusingly against these bad teams, and then they play the way that they play against
the Hawks
Sixers,
have been terrible
Bucks,
this year too.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not.
They are. But there's some. Again, I don't want to underestimate them because they will turn around. Trae Young drops 50 points and like he's out with a Christmas win at MSG. Like, no, but that's where the Knicks' head is at right now, where they're just like, what's the next big game? Where's the next big stage that we could really rally and show out and all this? Tell me.
Saturday at the Garden.
Oh man,
get
Houston,
shake the
Houston
funk off.
Rockets,
dude. Yeah. Houston Bulls and Lakers. That's going to be a tough next 3 games, man.
But it's really going to see what we're made of at this point.
Wait, why is the Houston game tough?
Because it's the next one. It's just the next one. Like, coming off a nasty loss like this to the Magic, bro. Like, why are we even discussing these guys again?
I don't know. I have no idea.
After we wrap, I got to tell you the struggle that I just went through to not only get my connection running, but this whole time I've been hearing myself in my headphones double time. So, like, you guys are asking me questions, I'm trying to answer, but I'm not trying to get ahead of myself because I'm hearing myself on delay. So yeah, I got a story for you guys, but I pulled through and we made it. So I hope the Knicks can pull through one day.
Saturday's game, that's the next game of the season. They're playing a team that is 0-8 on the road. They're playing a team that has 1 whole win to their name, and they're an extremely young team. The highest score per game has 16 a game in Christian Wood. this is a game that
Trap game.
Today was a trap game.
Yeah.
This is as must win as it gets. 16 games into the season. As must win as it gets. And if the New York Knicks show up and lose, they're going to get booed at the Garden. They're going to have an immense amount of pressure. This is where those stupid questions way too early in the season start coming up to Tibbs and to the team. Like, do you think your playoff hopes are crushed? Do you is Kemba the right fit here? Was the 3-year contract with Derrick Rose and Burks the right move? Are you going to re-sign Julius Randle? Like, these are all those stupid questions that come up because we are, the New York Knicks, and we're based in New York City.
We are the New York Knicks.
We play on the biggest stage in the world. These are the questions that are going to come up. So as must win as it gets for the sake of the New York Knicks mental well-being, win against the Houston Rockets on Saturday. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 114 team. Not that that's any better than winning against the Orlando Magic, which we should do. But yeah, it's very, very disheartening. They're playing a brand of basketball that's not fun to watch, which was kind of like the biggest upsides of the team last season.
Yeah.
That type of play is very fun to watch, especially if you're kind of like an old school basketball junkie. And now it's just kind of that run and gun, shoot threes, or if, you run up the court, you shoot a 3, it clangs, and then the other team's up doing a fast break.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Very annoying. And we're not running any breaks at all. Like, that's just crazy.
Nothing.
I mean, you rarely see it. Teams seem to play good transition D against us. Another thing I noticed tonight that kind of proves how limited our game is for the starters. When Orlando played zone defense again, a lot of teams have been giving us trouble with that zone.
Yeah.
And zone defense is all about like that inside out game and breaking it down. But if you're not penetrating in any way, that zone defense is pretty effective, and I think you saw that tonight.
Yeah,
it's
only RJ.
There's just so many like symptoms of a lack of that inside out game. It's just not there. I don't think we have the personnel for it in that starting lineup.
You know what's crushing about that whole thing? Like last year when I saw teams implementing a zone defense against us, I was like, okay, they figured it out. Like Alfred Payton can't shoot. Bullock can't get his own shot. They're going to zero in on Randall and take away Barrett, right? So, like, the zone defense killed us last year. With the addition of Fournier and Kemba, I was like, there's no way a zone defense is going to be able to stop us this year. And guess what? I've seen at least 3-4 teams implement a zone defense and slow us down, if not beat us. And it's crushing.
It's crushing.
Truly crushing.
Getting IQ out there is probably going to be very helpful.
Hey, I have an idea. Why don't we start IQ? We have nothing to lose. We don't.
Especially as a that dual point guard setup that Tibbs loved last year, and what he's doing with the bench right now. Why not give it a try?
Yeah,
we won't be mad at it. Yeah. We won't be mad at it.
At least Taj is still doing his thing, right? We know what to expect and we know what to get from Taj, and he's producing. You gave him props the other day, and as you said, we don't give him props enough, right? He's doing his role.
Got a comment that says Nerlens would have been useful today. Yeah, he would have always been useful, but I also think, again, keep in mind where our best defenses throughout this entire stretch has been at the center position. Taj has been doing his job. Mitch has been, on par with what Mitch does. The surprise has been RJ Barrett and apparently Emmanuel Quickly, who I got to study a bit more as a low-key defender. So I'm not sure if Nerlens Noel would have been the difference maker, but he does add that passion, that fire, that energy.
He does have a couple of momentum swinging blocks occasionally, and despite his fumble arena hands, he does make some good blocks. But back to what you were saying about Taj Gibson, like we all love Taj, and Taj comes up big, when it's asked of him. But like cue up like Jadakiss or something. Like, yeah, it's good, but it ain't enough. You know what I mean? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, Taj isn't gonna win us any games.
Terrible.
You know.
That's true, but at least he's sticking to what he was paid to do, right? I mean, a lot of these players that we have, they're producing really well, but I feel like their role fluctuates from time to time. They aren't able to do their role as consistently as I would like.
No,
but who am I to say? I'm just a fan.
No doubt.
All right, I'm tired of beating this dead horse of the New York Knicks. Hopefully they show up. Well, what's sad is they're going to show up the same exact way on Saturday, win, and it's going to buy them another couple games of this weird-ass lineup that's not hitting threes consistently. So I will talk to you guys in 4 games at about approximately the same exact topics.
I was going to say, you want to just do that show right now? All right, let's go.
2-1.
All right, man, that Rockets game was terrible. So that perimeter defense.
No, I'm not willing to go out like that, man.
Nah, man,
no, I'm saying they're going to show up against the Rockets, but they're going to show up with the same exact whatever they've been doing, and just because they're a bit more skilled than the Rockets, they're probably going to win. It's going to buy them another game of scrutiny or lack thereof. And then in a couple games when all of this starts to kind of reoccur again, unless they magically start hitting three-pointers, we're talking about the same exact problem in 2 to 3 games.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't see it going away. I think this is a chemistry issue that's can only be fixed with new blood, whether that's mix-ups, bench to starters, or trades, or what have you, or Grimes.
I feel like we always go through that though. Like I hate that.
Yeah,
we're like so hyped 15 and 20 games, and then our last resort is some it's like Grimes off the bench, which when we saw flashes of him, he was awesome, but it's like, why isn't he in the game? And so it always makes you wonder.
You know who's probably not going to play on Saturday? Kemba Walker, because it's going to be a back-to-back. And so,
really, you think so?
Probably, yeah. It's
back-to-back.
We're playing
Kemba
Saturday.
set out like the last
Sunday.
back-to-back.
Yeah.
So
we're playing on Saturday. We're playing Houston. Sunday we're playing Chicago, and then the following Tuesday we're playing Los Angeles, and then Phoenix, and then Atlanta, and then Brooklyn. So like,
at least some decent teams to watch. I don't want Orlando and.
So is D Rose? So you're saying this now? You think D Rose is going to start on Saturday?
Refresh my memory because I can't remember. Who started when Kemba sat last?
D Rose.
Yeah.
IQ.
It'd be interesting. I would love to see IQ start too, but again, Tibbs he's not that guy, pal. He's not that guy.
Not. Yeah, definitely not. By the way, like, what's this deal with Mitch and his shoes? Right, he's been changing shoes a lot and sneakers. His foot can't sit right in his sneaker. It's kind of
we already agreed we're going to buy him a size 13 pair of Timbs because they run down a size and he's a size 14.
But Clyde said he was trying even a size 16 to like make it even more comfortable, but that didn't even work. I don't know, man. I guess you got to try everything.
Sizes?
I guess you got to try everything.
Since he looks like a player from the 70s, maybe you just got to put on some Converse, man. That's probably like you need something long and thin.
Long
canvas.
Hey, yo.
Easy.
Can we cue the hey, yo?
Yeah, we got a hard schedule coming up, guys.
Hey,
bro. That's what we've been saying, and so far we've been.
And then there's the Knicks.
Easy schedule has been rough to watch, but now it's now or never for the starters. I think it's now they show out in this next 5 to 10 games, or another same season, right? Another season where we're
Houston,
change
Chicago, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Atlanta, Brooklyn, Chicago, Denver, San Antonio, Indiana. Like San Antonio, Indiana, Toronto, like they're all on the road, but those could potentially be like the easiest 3-pair games in this next stretch.
Yeah.
And then we got Milwaukee and Golden State like right after that. Yeah. So like things are not getting any easier.
And the Eastern Conference is insane this year. Like they're freaking stronger than the West. Man. So there's a lot of competition now. So those games against Indiana, against a lot of those East Coast teams,
Cleveland,
it's gonna be tough, man.
Cleveland's playing well.
Cleveland beat us, man. I mean, like it took 37 points from Ricky Rubio.
Oh my god.
Well, that's why I was like so confident in this one because I'm like, there's no way Terrence Ross is going to score, like 5 straight threes or whatever in the fourth.
Like he did last time. Yeah.
and then like he's still the lead scorer of the game, and we still lose. And we kept Cole Anthony bottled up, but
and still lost. So that's
I don't
just
know.
a bad sign.
I don't know. I'm tired of talking about this again. Like I said, we're gonna talk about the same exact topics in 4 games.
God, I
Mark
hope not.
my.
So do you guys think Kemba's going to start?
I think they're gonna sit him. They're gonna sit him on Saturday. Be ready for Chicago. We're probably gonna win again. Buy us more time until this like cycle repeats itself.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Can't
Shall
wait.
see.
Thanks
We
for
shall
tuning
see.
in, everyone. We love y'all. Love the fans. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, comment, hit us up on Instagram. That's where things be lit.
IG is
Love
the place
y'all.
to be.
Go Knicks.
Go Knicks.
Later, guys.
Go on the inside.